Recording in progress.
All right, so hello everyone. So for this pre-recorded video, we will be discussing about global governance. So to start, okay. So before we discuss the political side of uh, globalization, now we try to understand what is the function of government. Okay, because global governance, there has been a lot of talk about it, saying that the government is no longer needed because of globalization, because now we are living in a borderless world. Since we are doing that, then why not we have the global governance manage everything for us, no? So we don't need the government anymore. So that has been the debate, and we'll try to find out, no, if it does make sense to you or to us or to me, no, if we really needed the government, or is the government's role is ageless and enduring. Okay, so we start by defining what is government. So government is an institution that creates warfare, and it sets economic policies for a certain country. It can also be a political unit that has authority over its own affair. To add, it is a group of people who control and make decisions for a country, and it can also be a particular system used for controlling a country. Okay? So when we say country, there is this certain specific boundary, no, of a people that manages it. Okay, so when we say country, it's not the whole world, no? When we say country, there is again a certain area or region that this certain group of people has authority over it. Okay, that's a government. Now today, the globalization of politics created an atmosphere where the ideas of the nation state and state sovereignty, government control, and state policies are challenged from all sides. Okay, it is challenged from all sides because then again, now with the existence of globalization, living in a borderless world, the existence of multinational corporations, somehow they hold most of the power, no, as they said that the government becomes small, no, in its function because of those international actors. Okay, so with globalization, some scholars suggest a decrease in the power of the state, and that other actors are actually becoming more powerful. So these actors include, again, multinational corporations, the global civil society organizations, like that of our kanang Red Cross. Okay, so Red Cross operates globally. So I think director or OIC there is sa Philippines is Dick Gordon. Okay, so the history of global governance. So since the Second World War, organizations and unions have been created to maximize global governance and interference in order to prevent imbalance between states. Okay, so it was really at the end of the Cold War and also the end of the Second World War. Okay, so aside from countries or the community of nations, they are looking for economic alliances. They are also looking for a certain authority. No, na murag there is one organization that all member states should be members, and that authority, no, should be respected or honored by the member states. Okay, that is again to prevent unbalance between states, because based on their experience, kuan yun, no, in a certain period of time there is this one country who will dominate the other, Okay, so they are trying to prevent that certain imbalance, no, of the power of states, no, between the community of nations. So not only should one country have a say towards world issues, but decisions should be rather taken together and internationally, which is the main characterization of global governance. Okay? So the debate on globalization has been important, an important source of the emergence of theories on global governance. So what I'm about to show you is one of the reasons why global governance emerged, no, in our present day. So number one, here we have the declining power of nation states. So if states themselves, no, were highly contingent and influx, it would open the possibility of the emergence of some form of global governance to fill the void. Okay? So the vast flow of all sorts of things that run into and often right through the borders of nation states, and this could involve the flow of digital information of all sorts through the internet. Okay, so the liberalization of new ideas, the radical ideas, no, the new movements, it can easily be accessed or available in the internet. Okay, and let me go back, no, from our previous slide here. So when you say fill the void, it's the global governance of these certain types of authorities, like for example, the UN, the EU, the ASEAN, okay, the Commission of Human Rights, okay. So these types of authorities now challenges or exposes the weaknesses of the government. Okay, like for example, with what happened from the Philippines when Yolanda hits, we were very vulnerable. No one is ready, no, na ing ana day ang impact sa Yolanda. Na grabe gid ay kadaghan tao mga matay, aside from the life has been lost, property or damages, no, lisod kaayo i-recover. And then at that time, okay, so like for example, Doctors Without Borders, these organizations, no, Red Cross, other organizations like EU, um, the UN has been sending help to the Philippines. Okay, so with that help, now they fill the void of the Philippine government. And that void is that during that time, most specifically that time, is that we are incapable of helping our citizens. And that is true, no? Naadyo yung mga tao, areas, and barangays, and small communities na layo sa Kuan City is wala pa gid natabangan, no? Wala pa na access or nahatagan og relief goods sa government. But with the existence of these organizations, they filled the void. So they were able to help those people who are in need na wala pa gyud natabangan. Okay, so that is one of the many examples that we can cite, no, that these organizations can really fill the void. But in filling that void, no, they expose the weakness or the weaknesses of the government. Na ay ing ana day sila, dili gyud day sila maka-function dayon, no, may ana ba. So somehow because of that, because they fill the void, even if it is kuan ba, not the intention, but it challenges the authority of the state. Okay? Or it challenges the authority of one's government, not just the Philippines. Okay? So next here, no? Again, no, as I've said earlier, katong mga ideas nga available karon sa internet, the protection of datas, no, it needs a global attention. So that's why it somehow emphasizes the need for global governance. Next, we have mass migration of people under entry, often illegally, into various nation states. Okay, So the flow of criminal elements as well as their products is a strong factor in call for global governance. So this one class is it's kuan yun, no. This one is very important that it's not just an effort of one single nation, but it has to be a kana bitang a group effort, no. The community of nations should participate in eliminating kana human trafficking, because these black markets or these syndicates, they operate globally. Now we can also call them multinational corporation because they operate globally. They transact, no, from different countries, and that because it involves their business involves different locations in different areas of the world. Okay, so it needs a concerted effort, no, from different countries. Okay, so aside from that, during war, no, naatay mga kuan kanang refugees. Kaning mga refugees usahay panglabay ilabay ra ni sila sa different countries, mostly in US, mostly in Europe, no. In countries where they can feel safe. Okay? But somehow these countries that hosted them, no, like for example, they came here in the Philippines. Okay? But the Philippine government doesn't have the obligation to protect them or to give them basic rights, just like a normal Filipino citizen would have. Okay, same with other countries. Okay, that has been the issue gyud na ang mga refugees, they are the stateless people, kay they don't have citizenship, they cannot go back into their home country because the conflict is still there. They don't have jobs, they don't have education, they don't have access to anything, no, na makatabang nila, government services and basic rights or human rights. Okay, so that's why these refugees, they are very vulnerable to human trafficking, to crimes, to raping of women and children, may ana na mga cases. It's because there is no law that could protect them. Okay, so that's why ang UN naa sila program onto these refugees, no, or mga tao nga ni evacuate, no, gikan sa conflict area. Okay, so that's why it also needs, no, a call for global governance. Another, no, horrendous events within nation states that states themselves either foment and carry out or unable to control. Okay, like for example with what happened in Ukrainian and Russian conflict. Okay, so both of the countries obviously doesn't have the capability anymore to solve their conflict. That's why the participation of the United Nations and the NATO are very much needed to solve the conflict. Okay, so it's there is a need again for global governance. Another is global problems that single nation state cannot hope to tackle on their own, such as the global financial crisis, no, and the pandemic. Okay, that kind of issue. So we cannot hope to tackle all of that, no. Like for example, we are going to solve the pandemic. Okay, we are going to make a vaccine. So ang Philippines rin nag-figure out ana, and the rest of the world kay iyahay na. Okay? So we cannot hope to solve that because it should be concerted effort yun. Okay? So if we are going to rely on ourselves, no, on the Philippine government only, unsa may ato i-vaccine karon, no, sa atong mga healthcare workers or even sa ato ang mga workers, normal workers lang pod. Okay, nato tanan, no, sa mga estudyante pod. If you come to think of it, if nagsalig lang gid ta sa ato ang government, wala ta nagsalig sa global governance, lisod kaayo, no, wala pa guro ta naka-recover, wala pa ta nang gawas karon, lockdown gihapon, quarantine gihapon, gutom gihapon. Okay? So, next. So there is no world or government that can coordinate and facilitate cooperation among all actors to deal with these threats and challenges. Okay? So let's try to compare global government versus global governance. Global governance is a political movement or a political cooperation among transnational actors aimed at negotiating responses to problems that affect more than one nation. Okay? So when we say global government, okay, technically the global government doesn't exist. Okay? So we only have global governance. So we don't have an authority with hierarchical powers. Because when we say global government, there is this one person who has the higher authority, and then he will be the one to manage everything. No, mura siya og kanang government type gyud siya. Nga naagyoy ang bulk sa power kay naa sa usa ka person. Like for example, the president. Well, global governance is a term that came around mostly from a bunch of academics who were looking at the world's agenda. So to best explain or to differentiate the two, mo ni siya. So global governance is a political cooperation, no, a movement or a negotiation to come up with a better solution. Okay, so all of them, like these people around in this globe, they have equal authority, and because they have equal authority, they decide what course of action to take by voting or by kanang identifying what is the majority, no? What the majority want. Okay. Now for global governance, so this is the concept, no, of global government. Global government is like this. There's this one person who dictates the government officials. But again, no, this is just for to show you, okay, or to differentiate what is global governance and what is global government. But technically, global government, again, class, does not exist. Wala tayong ana. Walay president sa whole world. Okay? Wala yung ana. We only have equal authority in the round table, no, in our political cooperation with different member states from our organization, specific organizations. Okay. Again, so there is no such thing as global government. So global governance in the 21st century. Okay, so this one, supposedly in a live meeting, in each of these global issues, there will be a video that will be sa gani ni siya show, no, ipakita sa inyo ha. But then because this is a pre-recorded discussion, I will just skip the videos, and then I will just send you the links now of these videos, and then we'll proceed now on to the part where we can actually discuss the contents of this PowerPoint presentation. Okay, hold on. Okay. So just to summarize, ang naa sa mga videos is global problems, that really emphasizes the need for global governance. So as these problems become common or global, they can no longer be tolerated and require collective action to be managed. So they cannot be dealt with at the national level, by individual states acting alone. I'm sorry. Okay. So the effects of globalization to governments. So there have been several challenges to the government and ultimately to state autonomy. We can divide these challenges into four. So we have traditional challenges, challenges from national or identity movements. We have the global economics and the global social movements. So let's start with the traditional challenges. So there are two forms of traditional challenges. One, we have the external intervention, and the other, we have the internal challenges. Okay. Here, for the external intervention, an example of that is when Saddam Hussein was the ruler of Iraq in 1990, he decided he was going to take over the oil fields in Kuwait. So he invaded Kuwait and took it over. And as a result, he was dislodged by an international coalition by the United States. Okay? So he was killed. There was an external intervention. So that solution was brought from uh, an external factor or external organization like the international coalition. Okay? So when we say internal, another example of external, okay, when Russia's external intervention into the affairs of Ukraine. So Russia intervenes in the affairs of people in Crimea who want to become part of Russia again, no? Even though they are part of Ukraine. So this is Ukraine, kaning green area in the map, and this is Crimea, the black portion, no, in the map. And then ang kaning color blue, this is Russia. Okay? So Crimea wants to be part of Russia again because they are frustrated, no, with the Ukrainian government. So it can be considered an internal conflict, but Russia intervened. No, Russia intervened the conflict, and it was annexed. So they become part of Russia again. So that intervention can also be called as an external intervention. Okay? So next, this one is internal challenges. Okay. So after Arab, no, this is an example of internal challenges. After Arab Spring in Egypt, a new constitution was created and the government was elected. So that government was more fundamentalist and rejected the notion of a plural society that included religious diversity. So the military staged a coup that deposed the government in order to restore stability. Okay. So there is a coup d'etat. And that is an example of internal challenges. So there is no external force or kanang intervention coming from different nation. So the solution or the course of action is coming from kuan lang inside the country. Okay? Another is in Syria, no, the original rebellion against Assad came from the country's own internal dissenters who wanted to replace the government even though they were also Syrian nationals. Okay? So that is an example of internal challenges. Another example of internal challenges that we can cite now here in our country is katong people power revolution. Okay, that is an internal challenge because the people, no, was really growing frustrated, no, with the poverty rate, with the salvaging, with the killings, and with the luxurious living of the government officials during that time. So they were able to take a course of action, and that is the People Power Revolution. It was a protest against the government to kuan ba sa gani ni kanang to take its power, no, katong sa mga people na seated ato na time. Okay. So another is the Taliban's efforts, no, to control the government of Afghanistan. That is also an internal challenge. The as far as I know, the Taliban terrorist is the one already managing the Afghanistan, no, their country. So yeah, that is an internal challenge. Another here, no, we have challenges from national identity movements. So it is important to know that a nation has a cultural identity that people attach to. So while a state is defined entity, no, due to its specific boundaries, however, different people with different identities can live different states, and that, no, that kind of setting challenges the national identity. Okay. Like for example, Kurds reside in different countries, including Iraq, Iran, and Turkey. Or the Catalans now live primarily in Spain, but we can also find some of them in France. The Scottish nationalism, no, is another example of challenges the traditional notion of state sovereignty. Okay. Or the global movements such as the Al Qaeda and ISIS are another examples of national or identity movements in case they are structured around the fundamentalist version of Islam. Okay. So another challenge, we have the global economics. So the global economics really dictates the way we live, the way the politics are shaped because of money, no? Because of economics, the flow of money. So it demands the states to conform to the rules of free market capitalism. Okay? So another is government austerity comes from developments of organizations that cooperates across countries such as the World Trade Organization and regional agreements. Okay. So we have here the global social movements. So there are movements of people that are spontaneous or that emerge through enormous grassroots organization. So these social movements are transnational movements, which means they can occur across countries and across borders. Therefore, states have less control over them. Well, they are not usually seen as a threat, but definitely they challenge state sovereignty. Okay, so there are two types of movements. We have the activist movements and the regressive or reactionary movements. Okay, so there is also an increased role in international organization like the United Nations and the International Criminal Court in EU, and the role of non-governmental organizations, and also the role of global media in creation of social movements. Okay? So I think that will be the end of my discussion, no, for global governance. But we need, no, to remember these things before we end this. So one is that there is no global government. Okay? So there is no superior authority that we answer to. Okay? So each and every one of us, no, sa ato ang country, each country has its own authority. Okay? We have our own power to dictate and to govern our own country. And because of that, now we represent our country. And when we try to make a political or may it be economic cooperation among nations, we also practice that authority. No? And another is that the existence of global governance such as UN and other international actors help our world, no, to become in order. Okay? Like the existence of UN, the International Criminal Court, and what else, no? These organizations, Manggod class, they help countries, most especially countries who are in power, in check yun sila. Na they will not act based on their kuan lang, on their self-interest, na bahala na ng mga small countries diha, basta our country is progressive, no, maing ana. So the existence of global governance help them keep in check na dili sila mo act upon themselves only, no, based on their self-interest. Okay? So another kuan kanang important thing to note is that we have a lot of global issues that needs a concerted effort, no, from different nations. Global warming, the coronavirus, pandemic, or diseases that may spread in the future. So we cannot hope, no, rather, to tackle those problems as an individual nations. Okay? So that's why we become part of the global governance, okay, not thinking that this is something negative, this is something that challenges our authority. No, that is kuan gyud kanang a very distorted way of thinking ba na ingana imo ang gihuna-huna, but your people is actually benefiting a lot, no, from the global governance, from our becoming a member of that organization, like for example the ASEAN, okay, makes the Philippines or other countries gain advantage, no, into the competition, what we call as globalization. Okay, so again class, I will just post those videos nga naa sa PowerPoint presentation. I will send you the link, or maybe I will just simply upload it in our MS Teams. Okay? In our in the general tab na lang siguro, so that everyone can see it. Okay? So hopefully you have learned something. I'm really sorry, no, for the delay of the posting of this pre-recorded video, because yesterday I was really recovering, and right now karon pa nabawi ang ako ang tingog, so gahapon wala jud ko'y tingog. So anyway, thank you so much. You have a great day, everyone. Thank you.